Hey guys, it's Lord of the Pogs. When we hear the words dystopian future, most of us think of George Orwell's 1984. George Orwell modeled the authoritarian state in the novel after Stalinist Russia. It was even banned in the Soviet Union until 1988, and the full novel wasn't available there until 1991. Joseph Stalin handpicked Kim Il-sung, whose family is still in control of North Korea, the world's last Stalinist dictatorship. And that's the connection between George Orwell's 1984 and North Korea. When we look at The Hunger Games, we see a world of fantasy, and while it is indeed a work of fiction, North Korea has a societal structure eerily similar to the one in Panem. The Hunger Games trilogy takes place in an unspecified future time in the dystopian nation of Panem. The country consists of a wealthy capital city surrounded by 12, originally 13, poorer districts ruled by the capital. The capital is lavishly rich and technologically advanced, but the districts are in varying states of poverty. Katniss Everdeen lives in District 12, the poorest region of Panem, where people regularly die of starvation. As punishment for a past rebellion against the capital called the Dark Days, in which District 13 was destroyed, one boy and one girl from each of the 12 remaining districts are selected by a lottery called the Reaping to compete in an annual pageant called the Hunger Games. The games are a televised event in which the tributes are forced to fight to the death in a public arena. The winning tribute and his or her home district are then rewarded with riches. The purposes of the Hunger Games are to provide entertainment for the capital and to remind the districts of the capital's power and its lack of remorse or forgiveness for the failed rebellion of their ancestors. Author Suzanne Collins drew inspiration for the series from the Greek myth of Theseus and the Minotaur, in which, as punishment for past crimes, Minos forces Athens to sacrifice 7 youths and 7 maidens to the Minotaur, which kills them in a vast labyrinth, since it was just so cruel to force Athens to sacrifice its own children. Another classical inspiration was the Roman gladiator games. 3 key elements create a good game: an all-powerful and ruthless government, people forced to fight to the death, and the game's role as a source of popular entertainment. A contemporary source of inspiration was reality TV. They are like Panem because the games serve not only as entertainment for the capital, but also as a reminder to the districts of their rebellion. If you ever go channel surfing at night, you'll find people competing for a prize on one channel and footage of war on the next. They combine in an unsettling way, much like in the Hunger Games. In North Korea, there's a social credit system known as Songbun, a system of ascribed status based on the social, political, and economic background and behavior to divide citizens into 3 primary classes and subclasses: core, wavering, and hostile, and determine whether an individual is trusted with responsibilities, given opportunities, or receives an adequate food supply. Songbun affects educational and employment opportunities, and particularly determines whether a person is eligible to join the Workers' Party of Korea, North Korea's ruling political party. Songbun bears great resemblance to the districts in Panem. District 12 is the poorest district, and District 1 is the wealthiest. The capital restricts communication and travel between the districts, keeping District 12 poor and retaining all the wealth to District 1. Every year, a citizen and their family is chosen by way of the Hunger Games to receive favor from the capital. In North Korea, files are maintained on every citizen aged 17 and up and updated every 2 years by way of census. While transferring districts in Panem is impossible, improving Songbun is possible but difficult. However, it can be downgraded for a variety of reasons, such as lack of political enthusiasm, marrying someone of lower status, or being convicted, or even having a family member convicted of any crime. These files were started in 1966 to increase internal security by classifying citizens to weed out opposition out of fear that China might invade or sponsor a coup d'etat. Most North Koreans are never told what their classification is, and children can grow up never knowing their family status. Despite this, the North Korean government claims that all citizens are equal and denies any discrimination based on family background. If your ancestors worked with the South Korean government or had high positions under Japanese rule, you are considered hostile, and it is almost impossible to improve on this designation. However, it is relatively easy to make it worse. If you have wavering or complex songbun, you have no family history of disloyalty, but also no reason to be favored by the regime. You aren't targeted like those in the hostile group, but don't have access to the privileges of the elite. Frequently, there is no way to advance in society or in a career. If your family has always been loyal to the party, your future is bright. With ancestors who were close to Kim Il-sung and loyal to the revolution, you have core songbun. You are considered elite and given access to good universities, high-paying and important jobs, and real health care. The highest level of core is revolutionaries who fought with Kim Il-sung or his father Kim Hyung-jik against the Japanese or the South Koreans. In Pan-Am, television programs hosted by Caesar Flickerman are seen as a distraction away from real problems. Do capital citizens really know what goes on in the districts, or do they only know what President Snow tells them? If most North Koreans are never told what their classification is, it's highly probable that that extends to citizens living in Pyongyang. Do they know what the rest of North Korea is like? Or do they believe that North Korea is free and that everyone has the same luxuries they do? Take a step outside Pan Am for a second and think about the rest of the world. What do they know about Pan Am? If Americans in 2023 found out that a foreign country treated its citizens like Pan Am treats theirs, we wouldn't stand for it. What do foreigners think about Pan Am? Are there defectors that tell stories about the Hunger Games? Everything we know about life in North Korea came from defectors. About 200,000 North Koreans have defected since the 1950s. According to the American Journal of Preventive Medicine, more than half of North Korean defectors experience PTSD, psychological disorders, and physical illness from cultural and psychological adjustment. This is probably very similar to the PTSD that Peter Malark experienced after he was evacuated from the capital. The Hunger Games trilogy ends with Mockingjay, where the districts unite in a rebellion against the capital. The rebellion starts when Pan Am citizens from all districts watch Katniss destroy the arena. That's how all the districts were connected and became united, and that's how a rebellion starts, with communication. The revolution in the Philippines was fueled by text messages, and the Arab Spring was fueled by social media. In 1989, the Tiananmen Square protests was documented on film, taken from the Beijing hotel and hidden in a toilet tank. The rest of the world never knew anything about it until the film was smuggled out of the country in a box of tape. In North Korea, most people have no internet access, and those that do have it mostly blocked through a state firewall. Televisions are equipped with a device that only allows it to receive state channels, and removing it is illegal. People do have cell phones, but they are limited use and conversations are monitored. In South Korea, organizations like North Korean People's Liberation Front, Fighters for a Free North Korea, and North Korea Intellectual Solidarity use hydrogen gas balloons to send human rights and pro-democracy literature, DVDs, transistor radios, and USB flash drives across the border to citizens in North Korea. This practice is controversial because since possession of such materials in North Korea is punishable by death, some view it as putting citizens' lives in danger unnecessarily, since anyone who receives them will probably be executed. The Hunger Games is entertaining, and we should watch it or read it to be entertained. But even though the games are entirely fictional, it's important to remember that one-man dictatorships and authoritarian regimes aren't entirely unheard of, even in 2023. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider dropping a tip. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that little bell in the corner to get notifications on more videos like this one.